Ilia Topuria vacates the featherweight title.
I knew this 3 or 4 months ago, that Ilia was walking around at like 190.
Some say he was ducking Diego Lopez.
To me, that 145 division, who the f is going to beat Ilia?
Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett, that's a big one.
I don't understand the hate that this guy gets, right? He blows up into the Michelin Man in between camps, which is hilarious. And then he comes down and shreds down. He's funny on the mic. He seems like a genuinely nice guy.
Welcome to the show, Julianna Peña. Thank you for your time today, champ. We appreciate you.
Kayla Harrison is minus 700, 7-1. So why are you an underdog, but you keep winning?
Maybe I'm not the most technically sound. Maybe I didn't train martial arts or throw my very first punch until I was 19 years old and never was in any wrestling as a young kid or judo as a young kid. When you have that mental toughness of, I don't care what you do, I'm still gonna get up and I'm still gonna keep coming at you a million miles an hour, it's really hard to defeat someone like that.
What would your game plan be against Kayla?
Here we are, guys, back. OVERDOGS Podcast. We're here and taking over day by day. Let's go. 1% a day at least. We're getting better by the day. And we got lots to talk about. There was lots of fight news, lots of things happening. Starting it off, Henry Cejudo. He's a good guy. He's a good promoter and fighter. And he jumps back in again against Song Yadong, and he didn't feel he got the fair shake he wanted with getting poked in the eye. He's been talking about his injury ever since the fight happened. So what are your guys' thoughts on that fight and him getting his eye poked out?
Okay, so here's my thing. I don't ever like saying a fighter out or something. We on the last podcast with MVP, we talked about Rickles when he fought Rickles and how Rickles couldn't hit him and he literally just threw his hands up. He wasn't even on the ground, just walked off, said this because I know how this ends. My thing is, he was saying, I made a tweet about this, if you can't see, you can't fight. That's the whole thing. That's why Mike Bisping had to hide it. If the doctor comes over, can you see? And you say no, he doesn't go, oh, okay. That's it. In that whole middle or in between rounds, after round 2 or whatever, he's sitting there saying, I can't see. I can't see. That's him. He knows what that means, man. So then for them to come out and play it out like this long, I don't know what the doctor was doing, what they were doing, man. I really don't. It was very clear he couldn't see. He said, I can't see. It's on ESPN high HD audio, bro. He's screaming it at the camera. I think that added to how bad it kind of looked, because it looks like he out. It does, and he admitted that himself. He said it looks like that. Did he? I don't know. I don't want to ever put that on somebody, but at the same time, you looked good in the first 2 rounds, and then it started slipping. You didn't really have anything for him. You got poked in the eye, and then you milked it. He definitely milked it, and I think the way that they handled it made it look a little bit worse than it was. But at the end of the day, he realized he's just not. He didn't have anything for Yadong. That's what I believe.
To say he milked it, and he's milking it, I'm seeing video after video of him talking about his eye injury, and he's showing it. But an eye injury, it can look so minuscule, and then it's seriously severe. Yair Rodriguez and Jeremy Stevens fought in Mexico.
That was that was nasty.
Touched that eyeball, and he was done. It stopped the whole main event of the Mexico card.
And look, no one on Jeremy. That's my point, though. If the refs made this long, drawn out process,
who is that guy, man?
If they just if they just said you can't see, he was like, no, I've been saying I can't see, and they're like, fight's over. Then you're not milking it. It's like they made him milk it. It was weird. It was a weird situation. Hats off. Henry Cejudo is still a legend, but he didn't have anything for
Like nobody can be like, oh, Cejudo's he's been doing this for his whole life. You know what I mean?
Olympic gold medalist.
So I don't want to hear keyboard warriors be like, oh yeah, you out. If the guy can't see, there was blood coming out of his eye. You know what I mean? If you look at it, I think it was Mighty Mouse said, look, he impregnated his eyeballs. You know what I mean? It was deep. So you really can't. Was he going to win the fight? I don't think so. But at the same time, you can't say out. I don't want to hear that.
No.
Here's a good one. I got a good one here. Ilia Topuria vacates the featherweight title. And, you know, some say he was ducking Diego Lopez.
Get out of here.
I mean, yes, that's comical. Ilia has had a great run, and he's looking to go up, and he's looking to fight for another championship belt. But they made him have to vacate.
So I don't even, have we heard from Dana's mouth that he made him vacate? Because I don't think that was necessarily the case. And I knew this 3 or 4 months ago, that Ilia was walking around at like 190, right? I had talked to some of the guys around his team. He's walking around at 190. Like, he's beaten everybody, knocked out Volk. He knocked out Max. There's really, to me, that 145 division, who the is going to beat Ilia? And if Ilia wants to go up and take on Islam and move up a weight class, it's all respect from my end. Ilia is an absolute beast. I think he gives Islam a great fight. I don't think Islam has that much size on Ilia if he's truly walking around at 190-something pounds.
How are they talking about the vacates so fast when some people have held their belt for 2 years while attempting to get a double championship in another weight class or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they did, but I don't see any reason why the UFC would not want a double belt holder.
I think they're tired of it because it's only happened 4 times. It's only been accomplished 4 times. And I think that every fighter that does this, it just becomes a problem. Because now you have this dude who conquered the division. You knocked out 2 GOATs back to back, which is insane. Ilia is one of the prime ones you would give the opportunity, in my opinion. So I'm with you. Why wouldn't you promote that as a double champ? Who the is next? Is Diego Lopez really that next that we have to like vacate it and give it back to Alex? I don't think so, man. But I found right here to answer your question. Dana reveals it was actually Ilia Topuria's decision to vacate, and take this with a grain of salt, to vacate the featherweight title and move to lightweight. He said, "I shouldn't be holding up anybody's opportunities. I respect when guys do that." So this sounds like a full-fledged jump to lightweight, and I respect it.
What's the source on that?
MMA fighting. It's legit. Dana White, like literally Dana White. There's a video talking about
that is hugely respectable, right? Because
I agree.
Look at John right now. How many fans are furious over this, right? Like, because he's holding up Aspinall. He's not fighting Aspinall. John can do whatever he wants to. But at the same time, you're right. If he goes and wins the 155 belt and he's holding the 145 belt, when does he fight again? How often can he defend each belt, you know?
Another quote from Dana right on that. Dana White sheds light on whether the UFC is telling champions to vacate their belts if they want to challenge for a second title. Quote, "If there's a guy who wants to do that and thinks he can defend both belts, I would have no problem with it, but you're going to stay busy." Boom.
They're protecting the legacy of the original guys who did it instead of giving new opportunity to the new guys. They're trying to keep a stratosphere of
you don't want to water it down.
Guys, the first ones who did it, you know.
Cormier, Nunes, Connor, Henry.
Let's talk about this for a second, right? Do you guys think he gets the Islam fight right off the bat? I heard the rumor was he turned down Sarukian.
Poirier was saying he wants it. And Islam said there's guys for him to challenge in order to get the opportunity.
Yeah, but the only guy that he had to challenge pulled out the day before.
Yeah. Dana's going to make that decision.
Arman was the one.
To me, I want to see Ilia and Islam right now.
Yes, absolutely not. You do not take that. Dude, Volkanovski and Holloway are held in such high regard, and to knock both of them out in a row, give him Francis Ngannou if he wants, bro. Like, let the guy just go. Let's see what he can do. You know, and then you're talking about him being 190. Let him have it. And I get Islam's kind of perspective. Like, I'm tired of beating 145ers. I'm tired of people telling me all I beat's 145ers. You're only 155 true title challenger. You already beat Dustin. You know, Oliveira, all that. Is Arman. And Arman pulled out the day before. Bro, it's Ilia. It should be Ilia. Dana said himself it's not guaranteed, but I think that's where they're going to go with it.
It's the money match, right? Everybody wants to see it. It's going to do mega pay-per-view numbers. And here's the thing, like, Ilia hasn't shown it in a long time, probably since Bryce Mitchell. Ilia's a monster on the ground.
Yes.
A monster on the ground, right? He's just been knocking people left and right, hadn't had to use it. He'll have to use it against Islam. right? But he's good on the ground. He's spectacular on the ground. I like the matchup. I want to see it. Can he beat him? I don't know.
Speaking of matchups, there's some good ones coming up. The fight announcements between Michael Chandler and Paddy Pimblett, that's a big one. I mean, Chandler always gets those high-level matchups, but obviously, in my opinion, Paddy is the cash cow that they are pushing, and they took that fight for a reason. I think it's a good fight, though, because Chandler will have more submission defense than, say, Bobby Green did. And Chandler is hittable, in my opinion, so Paddy may poke him and box him. And if it does go to the ground, Paddy's had some good jiu-jitsu. So I wonder what that fight's going to look like.
I went from, and this is just me personally, I went from Paddy is super overrated like a year and a half ago because it just felt like they were just trying to push him and climb him up the ladder, to now I feel like Paddy is super underrated because everybody hates on the guy.
Yes.
But he just keeps winning and winning and winning. I would take Paddy Pimblett in that fight against Chandler.
He's a scrapper. There's no part of me that can convince myself that with Paddy, the way he walks out there with his chin up in the air, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but the way he goes out there, chin up in the air, he takes shots like Luigi, his first UFC fight. He ate a shot, puts most people out, but he took that, came out and knocked him out. And that's the type of grit I love, Bagz. Like, I respect Pimblett. People hate him, but this either ends one of two ways. Paddy eventually survives and gets him down or just peppers him up somehow because Michael Chandler spends all of his energy. But there's no part of me that I think is going to be able to convince myself that Michael Chandler doesn't chin him in like the first round. I guarantee you he chins Paddy in the first round, at least drops him. I guarantee that. That's all I'm willing to make a, stance on right now.
Paddy's been very smart, and he's been very selective, and he's picking what he wants and choosing what he wants, and they're following a game plan. It's a UK standpoint. The European fighters, some of them do grow on you, and they get this huge fan base. I mean, Ilia is a Spaniard fighter, so he's got a huge fan base, but he's one of the only ones that does. But there's a few UK guys that really make a buzz, and they're pretty good on the mic, and some of their videos go viral for no reason. But then when they get with someone of Paddy's stature as far as how the UFC pushes him,
like his trajectory,
he gets ample time in between in preparation. He goes up a lot in weight, and then he prepares for a long time. He's getting at least a 12-week camp for these fights, and a lot of time in between fights to prepare for whatever the next one is, so he has the time to get better as it goes on. So I think we see a new Paddy Pimblett.
I think Paddy just keeps getting better and better and better, and I feel like I went from overestimated to underestimated really quickly. After it took me about 2 fights, and I'm watching the comments, and I'm like, how is this guy getting no respect after what he's done so far? And he's funny as I find him likable.
He is.
I don't understand the hate that this guy gets. Right? He blows up into the Michelin Man in between camps, which is hilarious, and then he comes down and shreds down. He's funny on the mic. He seems like a genuinely nice guy. I don't get the hate. Here's what I want to talk about.
Sloppy.
And talk about trajectory, right? Bo Nickal. Bo Nickal is now just dropped out of the rankings as of today. I thought he was the UFC golden boy. They've given him quite a few cans to fight. They put him out there. They used his name and obviously his background. But it doesn't seem like they're giving him very many fights at this point. What do you guys think is going on there?
He told us in when we had him on the pod, this isn't what he needs to do. He's financially stable outside of fighting. This is like a pure inner thing. Like he wants to prove it to himself type thing. And I think that's why you see these long skips in between fights. And I think maybe the UFC, I don't know. I mean, maybe the UFC is just kind of like, dude, Like after that last fight, people are not impressed. I think he should be ranked. He should absolutely be ranked.
It was the great Chael Sonnen who said, we're all 3 fights away from a title fight in the UFC. It's all about those performances. And, Bo's taking his time. He's getting his ring time in. He's learning. And that's what he's focused on is being the best when it's time for him to be the best. As for now, he'll fight the people out of the rankings. It gives him a chance at a big performance against someone who's just breaking in those rankings, and then it lobs him up there into the next big fight. The trajectory could, obviously, like I said, we're all 3 fights away. If I got into the UFC today, I have a big knockout, then I'm 2 big wins away from a title fight.
What I think stupid about it is, he's getting on. He's still shut out. I just double checked. He shut out unanimous decision 30-27. He won 3 rounds in a row. It wasn't even close.
That's what I'm saying. Like you can talk about his performance, but he dominated the fight. And
yeah, but come on, guys. You guys,
but remove him from the rankings.
More to watch. You got to be like, ooh, damn, that's really dangerous.
Or just fight more often.
Look at Ian Gary and MVP, right? We thought that was going to be a banger. Ian Gary dry humps him for 3 or 4 rounds and wins the fight. To me, that's not exciting, but it doesn't affect Ian's rankings in any way.
Yeah, I think that's weird.
All right, welcome to the show, Julianna Peña. Thank you for your time today, champ. We appreciate you. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much, Mike, for having me. I appreciate the time.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So jumping right in, how's life compared to, how's life as champ compared to not being champ?
It feels exactly the same whether I was champ or wasn't champ. I was expecting the heavens to open up and, God to come and greet me and be like, welcome, you're a champion now. And now I anoint you and everything like that. But it wasn't like that for me. It was just like another day. I woke up. I still had to take my daughter to school. I still had to, pack her lunch up and get her snacks. Like, it wasn't like, I became the champion and all of a sudden I had all these things going on for me. I remember when I won the championship, I was in the hotel room with my brothers and sisters and I was laying on the bed and I'm like, will somebody pass me that Coke? And they're like, get up and get it yourself. What do we look like? You're slaves? And I'm like, I'm the world champion. They're like, that doesn't matter around here. You're just like everybody else, So it wasn't one of those things for me that was, life changing. I always knew I was a champ in my heart and in my head. I always walked around like I was champ in my heart and in my head. So for me, it just felt the same.
That's crazy because when Mike became the king of violence, he made his 3-year-old son start packing his own snacks.
That's not true. Don't play with me. I've always said that as well. It's like what you're doing that leads up to the fight, who you are as a person and as a competitor, and then they give you the belt because you've been carrying yourself as a champion already.
Right. And, I think that the most important thing for me is just trying to have that humility of, one day you're on top of the world and the next day you're on the bottom of the world. But every single day you're holding that world up. If you're on the bottom of it and you're holding it up and being like, I run this, everything is all about perspective and everything is about doing things with a little bit of humility. But there's a difference. You have to know the difference between humility and, being too confident and cocky and, it can come and nip you in the butt sometimes. So as long as you can keep that balance of, knowing when to be humble, but knowing when to be cocky or not cocky, confident and knowing when you got it, so there's a fine balance there and it's a fine line.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Kayla Harrison news breaking. What's the deal here?
Everybody knows that we're supposed to fight. Everybody knows that that's the biggest fight in women's mixed martial arts history, that fight is going to be exciting and that, that's going to be the one to watch and to keep your eye out for. So it's not like some big secret. It's not like I'm going to be like, I'm fighting Amanda Nunes, So everyone knows that me and Kayla are supposed to fight. The date hasn't been announced. The location hasn't been announced. So I think that there's some key puzzle pieces that need to come into play, contracts, venues, making sure that we have a place to actually fight. But that hasn't been announced. That is to be determined. But as far as who I'm fighting, it's not a secret. Everybody knows it's Kayla.
Isn't that one of the advantages of being champion is contract negotiations when it comes down to these mega fights?
Obviously that's going to play a factor, but, she and I have both already agreed to fight. And I think that, again, one of these things is like everybody's saying, that they found the location and that they found the venue. It's like, no, there's some big key things that go into these, mega fights, which is like an arena agreeing to take on, this big event. And that hasn't been determined yet. That hasn't been settled. So it's everyone, the contracts and everything like that, that's going to play a big factor as well. But first we got to figure out like who's going to host us.
Should be a line for that. Yeah. I was asking, what are your thoughts on Kayla Harrison?
My thoughts are that she's a big old gal. I think that they said that, or she said that she, walks around at a big, heavy, weight class. I think she was fighting at 155, 160 in the PFL. And I've never been that big a day in my life. So I think that, that's the biggest thing that jumps off the page for me. As far as her as a fighter, I think that she is, very well-rounded. She's complete. She's got amazing judo. So it's going to make for a great and exciting fight. They say that styles makes fights and matchups makes fights. So this is a perfect type of fight for me. And it's one that I have been looking forward to for a long time. I think that she's a great fighter.
I have notes that say you would have 2 more fights, or you have 2 more on your contract, and then you would retire. What is one of your best, most favorite moments of your career, and maybe what is a regret that you have in your career?
Okay, so there's a lot going on with that question. First off, I don't even know how many fights left I have on my contract. So how do you know how many fights left I have on my contract?
Hey, we're connected. My producers know things.
We got sources here.
Okay. Secondly, I'm pretty sure that I have never said ever the word retired or that I was going to retire. So
what are my producers doing to me today, man? You guys are
setting
eating
you
me up.
They're setting you up, Mike.
Yeah. So don't try to put any of that on me. That's your own thing. But I will say that the best moment in my career was probably winning the Ultimate Fighter, because you had to fight 4 people and it was like a last woman standing type of thing. And also being the first ever. So it's like Forrest Griffin or the Diego Sanchez. They were the first ever to win the Ultimate Fighter. And so I was the first woman to ever win the Ultimate Fighter. And to go back and actually coach the Ultimate Fighter with a winning season where I just swept the other coach's team. And I won for my season, and then I had my team win the whole season. It was Team Peña all the way. I had 3 Team Peñas in the finals. The Ultimate Fighter holds a really close, near and dear spot to my heart because it's, something that can never be erased from history. I'll always be the first woman to win. And it was also something that kind of put my name on the map, kind of solidified who I am in the company. And as far as UFC history goes, I'm the first to do it. So that one was a real special one for me because it kind of was my coming out party where I'm saying, hey, this is me. Here I am. I'm Julianna. So that will always be special. And then you said a regret. I try not to have regrets because I would prefer to look at them as lessons learned. And if I didn't go through these hard moments, then I wouldn't have learned the lessons from that. But one of the lessons that I think that I learned the hard way was not preparing for both Southpaw and Orthodox in my second fight with Amanda. And when she came out as a Southpaw, I know in the first 10 seconds of that fight that the fight was already lost, because once I realized what was happening and realized that I wasn't prepared for that, I mentally could not come back from that. And I tried my damnedest for 25 minutes. I almost had her in an arm bar, dead to rights in the 4th round, and I really thought that I had it. I thought I was going to be able to turn the tide there with that arm bar. But I just was never able to recoup from that southpaw stance that I saw her standing in. So, learning my lessons of being ready, whether they come out southpaw, orthodox, whether they're upside down walking on their hands, or whether they're the exorcist and their heads turned the other way, I need to be ready for it all. And I think that that's the lesson that I learned from that fight.
That's a really interesting take. Hang on. That's a really interesting take. How is that? How did that change your game planning going forward after that? You just have to prepare for everything, right?
In that camp, I recall one of my coaches, one of my training partners came out as a southpaw inside the octagon while we were sparring. And he stop. And he's like, if you can't, act like Amanda and fight like Amanda, then you're out of here. And he had come out southpaw. And I remember that moment because we stopped the training and he got, reprimanded for coming out as a southpaw. So now it's like, if they come out as a southpaw, they come out as an orthodox, it's all good. You better be ready for it all, So that's kind of how that changed after that fight.
Is that guy still around, by the way? Because sounds pretty
he's
detrimental.
A state champ wrestler. He is the son of my jiu-jitsu coach, and he's an absolute killer. He's killing it in college. He got Athlete of the Year for his college over here in Elmhurst. Henzo Augusto Claudio. He's an absolute monster, and one day in the future he'll be fighting in the UFC. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I'm really happy with your responses there. My producers had the plan with those questions, but kind of set me up with that. I wanted to defend myself there, and Josh cut me off. Appreciate it, Ice Bagz.
Are you and Amanda ever going to be friends?
Is that a question?
That is a question.
Is
there any possibility there?
My coach asked me that maybe 4 years ago, and he was like, do you ever think that you girls could ever be friends? And I'm just thinking like, maybe. I'm not going to be reaching out anytime soon. Maybe if she reached out to me, I'll tell you what, I fought Valentina Shevchenko and I was beating her ass all up until I punched myself into a submission and freaking got armbarred. And I wanted to hate her. I wanted that revenge. I wanted to not like her. And when I met her in person, she was so sweet. She gave me sugar diabetes. And I was like, I can't hate this girl. She's amazing. She's great. And now every time we see each other, we're like, what's up, Valentina? How you doing? You know what I mean? So it's one of these things where I'm sure Amanda is a really nice person. I've heard from a lot of people that she's very nice. I'm sure she is. Right now, I don't have a problem with her personally. Professionally, I have a little chip on my shoulder for the fact that, I feel like she retired too early. Could we be friends in the future? I'll never say no. I'm a friendly gal. I'll talk to a rock. You know what I mean? So it's not like I'm one of these people who are like, no, you can't be my friend. I'm a very friendly person myself. So in the future, I'm sure. Right now, on a personal level, I'm sure that we would, get along great and have a lot of things that we could connect on. But on a professional level, I want to fight you, Amanda. So
I've got a question, and this goes for Julianna and Mike. Are y'all the type of people that build something up on whoever you're fighting, whether it's real or whether it's not real? And I'll explain this. Like Michael Jordan, I think John Jones kind of does the same thing. They make stuff up about their opponent that may not even be true just so that they dislike them enough that they want to take their heads off in competition, right? You get what I'm saying? Are y'all the type that do that? Because you were saying I wanted to hate Shevchenko until we met, and then she was too sweet to hate.
Yeah. I'll let Mike answer first. Go ahead, Mike.
Okay. Well, I definitely do that. If I met someone who is so nice in person, I hate them that they're so nice. I hate that they're so nice. I'm like, you're so fake. There's no way you're that nice. You weren't being real and authentic. You're such a piece of crap for being so nice. That's what I do.
Yeah. I think No, but I'm looking for triggers, right? I'm looking for a trigger that is going to help me get up probably. And if I have to, make stuff up or like find all these triggers, like I'm watching like a hawk and I'm seeing these hypocrisies and I'm seeing these things going on where I'm just like Mike said, that's fake. You're fake. And I don't like that about you. You know what I mean? Because for me, it's like what you see is what you get. And I'm the same throughout all the time. And when I see my opponent, quoting Jesus, but then cussing like a sailor and like trying to Bible thump you, but at the same time, like act like a hoodlum, I'm like, yeah, that's a trigger for me. And so I find these little triggers, and I don't want to say that it helps or it doesn't help, but I think that maybe a fighter needs that little chip on the shoulder or trigger so that they can, do violence. Because at the end of the day, if I don't hurt her, she's going to try to hurt me, and this person's trying to take everything off my table, and I can't let that happen. So whether you make something up or whether you really don't like the person or whether they irk you, I mean, it's real because we are fist fighting for a living. So it's serious business.
Yeah, I that made me think a little bit. I also want to say, because I always go back and forth in my head about stuff, right? It's like if I got that feeling, if I'm irked by someone, it's because I know that I think we're gonna compete against each other. And then, I tell myself, you have to keep your cool. I got to keep my cool. I want to be someone that seems so cool on the cameras when the cameras are watching me, or in the fight time leading up to the event. I want to be this cool athlete. And in order to keep my cool and keep it in the ring, it's got to be a swag to the way that I fight. And if I fight with too much aggression or hatred, I might not be able to perform to the best of my abilities. So keeping my cool allows me to be smooth, fast, sharp, and dialed in. So I'm always battling myself mentally on whether I like or do not like my opponents.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that, keeping that cool and not having that anger, because if you're pent up with so much anger, you've already lost. It's one of these things where it's like, I'm not going to let this person get to me. They're pathetic. They're literally trying so hard to get into my head and play all these games. That's a tell. And that tell tells me that they're scared and that they are shaking in their booties because they have to do that because they know that they're trying to make up for something that they lack. And I don't need to act like that because I don't lack anything. And if I'm angry, then they already got me and they already won. So it's all about, like you said, keeping your cool.
I want to switch gears here for a second. How much do you think that looks matter when it comes to female marketability in the UFC compared to men's? Do you feel like there's a certain double standard there, right? If you look at like the hype that Mackenzie Dern gets every single time she comes out versus maybe Wei Li, and I didn't mean to crash Wei Li, but what do you think about that? Because I think that's like a legitimate thing out there, whether it be UFC or anything. I feel like women are always held to, and I've got 2 daughters, are always held to a much higher standard when it comes to looks and how sweet they are, right? Versus how the men do it.
Well, first thing I'll say is that Mackenzie Dern and Weili Zhang are getting the same amount of attention, and it doesn't matter what the looks is between both of them, because Weili is a badass and her fighting speaks for itself, which gets her the attention that she gets, which is up there as not only the champion, but just an absolute monster in the women's division. So it doesn't matter whether she's ugly or pretty, she's getting that attention just off of based purely off of skill set and her being a monster. Now, Mackenzie Dern is also skilled in fighting. And then she also happens to, she's got the dumps and she's got the fake and stuff like that. So sorry, I didn't mean to say that word. But she's getting attention also for that. So that's almost like the cherry on top of what you get when it comes to a girl like Mackenzie Dern and why these men are tuning in. Because if you look at the demographics for women's audience in mixed martial arts, it's generally all men. And the old saying goes, sells, you know, and if you got it, flaunt it. So why not try to make the most money for yourself, or, you know, post these risque photos if that's your thing, because it's just going to help generate more money for any particular woman who wants to represent themselves in that way. So I'm not hating on it. I understand it. I think do your thing, boo boo, get your paper. And I think that, you know, at the end of the day, the UFC is running a business and everything goes down to business. And since sells, they're definitely going to, I don't want to say play up that sexiness, but they're not going to shy away from that sexiness as far as promoting goes. But then you get some good looking guys too that have gotten, you know, a great start coming into the UFC. Either they're coming from different promotions or they're just coming into the promotion for the first time, and they're good looking men and they also get quite a bit of attention. So whether it's male or female, I think that in society you get treated better if you're better looking, I think, you know.
Luke Rockhold, Olberg.
Matt, calm down, buddy.
Hey, bro, I just read the news, man.
We should have left that question to Julianna.
Am I right? Am I right? Olberg, Tyson Pedro, people said that.
Carlos Olberg is the hottest guy.
I told you.
And then you got like people like you know, Imavov, he's so cute too. Or you got the Michael Venom.
Everyone loved Brian Ortega.
Yeah, Michael Venom Page comes from a different promotion and he's on these gigantic mega fights. You know, obviously it's because of his fighting skills. Let's not forget about that. But there's other guys that have been in the division that would be jumping at the opportunities that he's just been given right out the gate from just coming into the promotion, you know? So I definitely think that they have a way of elevating the stars that can represent the company in the best way. And if they're good looking, better for the company, right?
I'm glad we all know now that Mac and Julianna have the same taste in men. I mean, you guys are right there. Each guy.
Nope.
I'm telling you, y'all are lockstep.
Well, dude, no, you guys are tripping if you act like you don't walk into a room at a party or something. You know who your threats are, who your competition is. You're capping, dude. And then I see the comments. I see the way women act about Olberg and all that. Yeah, he's a handsome dude. But I called it, didn't I, Julianna? I know what the people, what the streets say. That's it.
Yeah, that's my number one.
There you go. And he's doing good too.
Ooh, I know. And he can fight. So that's like a bonus.
He can fight.
And that's the thing too, is that these beautiful women or these beautiful people, they can fight. And so that's what's even better about the whole thing is like, it's not like they're just schlumps that are just going to roll over and, you know, lose. Because if they were, they'd get cut just like anybody else. And their looks would have absolutely nothing to do with their success inside the company. It's all about, you know, being able to fight and do your job. And if you're pretty and you can do your job, hey, we love you even more. And if you're pretty and you can't do your job, guess what? You're getting cut just like everybody else.
Alan Joban, he was like a Versace model. And then he fucking went out there. Why are you letting yourself get hit in the face like that, bro? You make money with that thing. But he went out there and banged with people. He had a mid record or whatever. And now he's put him on camera. You know, they threw him right onto the broadcast team.
Yeah, and he's great at his job, and he was great at fighting too. And you know, I got nothing but great things to say about Alan Joban. He's an awesome person, and he works very hard.
Hell yeah!
Give me the game plan against Kayla Harrison, because here's what I think. I think if you can drag her into the deep end late in the rounds, that weight that she carries is going to wear down really quickly. So what would your game plan be against Kayla? Obviously, you're not going to give me the whole thing.
I like that stance and that position and that prediction. I like that. There's some things that you got to keep close to the vest. And there's some things that you got to just be able to zip your lip on, and you're just going to have to wait and find out when the time comes.
Cheers to that. I did have a question about, so you were saying earlier that you were fighting a guy getting ready for Nunes. Yeah. Do you mostly fight men? Do you fight like your training partners?
Yeah, it's been a mix of both, but I would say that predominantly I've always trained with men. I don't have a lot of girl training partners. And then if I do have girl training partners, it's like two cats coming at each other and ready to like fight for their lives, where they're clawing each other's eyeballs out. So you kind of like gotta like separate us until it's time to spar live, because otherwise we it's not me because I feel like I'm a great training partner. But at the same time, I also kind of get carried away where it's like, boom, I'll punch you in the face. Like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. And then it's like, oh, okay. And then she'll punch me in the face like, oh, I'm sorry. And then all of a sudden we're scrapping for real and we're only just supposed to be drilling. And so guys can take that and they're not gonna, get, carried away and just try to like womp on you. They're gonna be like, it's a no big deal. She's a girl. But like, I need also the strength of the men that I don't sometimes get with some of the women, and in the right ways. I'll have a strong grappling partner, but not a strong striker. So I'm trying to go with a guy that I know is going to be strong everywhere, who's going to give me a better look. And predominantly the women get taken up with each other, and then I'm the odd man out because I have such a big fight, and then I'll end up having to go with the man that's a southpaw, that is big and strong, and that can fight me everywhere. Whereas one girl might just be strong in the grappling area, but she's not a southpaw and she's not strong in the striking to act like a southpaw. Do you know what I mean? So it changes, but for the most part, all my life, I've always fought with men. And I think that's also one of the reasons why I've always had to take time away from the sport, is because I'm always injured.
We should bring in Brady into our camp.
Tom Brady, please.
Different Brady.
Different Brady.
What's crazy is, and don't tell anybody this, but Mike actually takes the opposite stance. He's been training with women for like the last 3 years. Nobody knows this though.
Women are technical and they're fast learners, and they're not like, they're not just gonna go bowling in there and just being all crazy. Women are very technical. They learn fast, and they can be very good training partners. But then
my head coach is my wife.
That's right. She will whoop that ass.
All right, this goes right into Bag's question. Would you rather? Okay, Blaine Henry on Twitter asked this. Would she rather fight a fresh Weili Zhang every round for 5 rounds, or Islam Makhachev, but he starts to fight with round 5 cardio?
A fresh Weili, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Had to ask that when it went right into Bag's question.
Yeah, because at the end of practice, they will throw 2 guys in the middle, and they'll be like, takedown, like he'll start on a single leg, and the guy has to defend a single leg. But then they keep trading on the same guy and they don't let him out. And then even if I'm the very last person and the guy's been in the center the entire time getting traded on, I'm still having a really hard time being able to take him down, because he's like a man and he's strong and he's big, and then the second thing about that is I tore my knee out 4 out of 5 ligaments fighting a man for real. And the time.
Hold on, for real?
Yes.
We need that story.
What does for real mean?
For real, meaning
like bar street fight.
What?
Like a street fight?
No, I'll get to that one after.
Let's go.
I went to the gym and I was so angry and I wanted to fight, and I fought a guy that couldn't take me down, and my knee got stuck in the mat, and I was so like defending the takedown so well, but when I went to go turn him off the mat, my foot got stuck, and then when I went to go turn, it completely caved. And so I tore 4 out of 5 ligaments, and that was because of my stupidity thinking that I could beat a man. And the second time I went into the back alley while I was serving, and I fought the line cook because we had, been really going at each other for a long time. A long story. He dropped me 3 times, and I have to say, and this is no ego, I popped right back up after every single time I got dropped. Yeah, I got dropped, I popped right back up, I went at him again, he dropped me again, and I had my eye swollen shut for 3 days and 11 stitches in my eye. Because I thought that I could fight a man. So I'm taking Weili every single time. I don't have any ego to be like, I could beat a man. Like, I've learned my lesson. I don't want anything to do with fighting dudes for real.
Who is this line cook, and why has he not been signed?
Why is he not a contender series?
We'll get him a fight against Yoel Romero in Dirty Boxing.
No, he had mental problems, you guys, because obviously he was okay with going outside and beating up a dick.
That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, who the goes, all right, guys, can you cover for me? I'm taking my break. I'm going to fight Julianna.
He's like, I'm about to Julianna up.
Yeah, dude, like, anywhere else, someone would stop him and be like, what are you doing, dude?
No, I know. There was a guy that was watching the whole time and he didn't even stop it. Number one, there's three things. Number one, I should have kicked him in the nuts on my first freaking go. Like, I shouldn't even have been like, actually, like, I should have found a brick and just tried to like hit him with it. Like, I actually was in my head of being like, no, I'm a pro fighter. I can fight this guy and I'm gonna beat him. You know, I wasn't thinking like, hey, Julianna, he's 6'3", you're 5'6", like take that into account, you know, or like trying to like bob and weave your way in there to like get him down. You know what I mean? No, I wasn't thinking about any of that. I was just thinking like, all I gotta do is get in close and take him down and then I'll choke him. And then it was like, I couldn't even do that because the second that I tried to enter, I was getting dropped. And so there's three things. I got fired. And he got to keep his job because they said that, yes, they said that I was a trained pro fighter, and that's why I lost my job.
Oh, hell no. What company was it?
I've asked Mike about this.
Dude, second thing, my boyfriend flew in that night on a red eye and went and found him the next day and went to beat him up, and the kid like ran for his life and he was so like deathly scared. But it was really sad because months later I heard that he beat up his old lady. He had mental problems. I'm telling you, he had mental problems.
Well, but that doesn't excuse going outside and like squaring up with a chick, you know.
That's my fault too for the fact that I was so.
Well, but women get crazy, bro. Like my girlfriend will want to scrap with me anytime I like say the wrong word, bro. Like, you know, I don't, or meet me outside by the dumpsters. No one does that. You don't do that.
Yeah, I was his manager at a different location. And when I got that job, I was happy. And then I saw him on the other side of the line and I'm like, oh no, not this kid that I would like send home every day because he was a menace to society. You know, like he was always just a troublemaker. And as his supervisor, I would send him home early first because I got to send these kids home. And so the first one that I would always let go was him because he was always, you know, disrespectful or annoying, or he would drive me crazy, or he'd be making messes, you know? So he was always the first person I would let go. And when I went to that new job and saw that I was the food expediter. So we were constantly across the line and, hey, I need this, or hey, I need that. And so we were just fighting all the time. And like one day it just came to a head and that's what happened.
Can I ask what restaurant it was? Like, was it like a chain or something?
It was, so it would be like a mom and pop to like equivalent of like a Red Robin. And they own other restaurants in my hometown and I would never, you couldn't pay me to go into one of those restaurants and give them my money. Not ever, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Yeah, it's called The Onion and that place sucks.
Well, look at you now. You're champion of the world, and I bet you could beat that guy on another time.
He's dead,
now.
Mike. He's been dead for a decade.
He's donezo. Julianna, I want to ask, have you heard or have you seen about dirty boxing championships?
I have heard of the name. I have not seen it, but to my credit, I haven't sat down on my couch in like 3 months. I don't pay for cable and I don't have TV, so I don't watch anything. So
it's very hard to watch without any of those things.
Yeah,
I believe we have a chance and opportunity for you to witness dirty boxing today.
Ooh, let's see it. Those
Here
look
it
like
is.
MMA.
It is a special sport.
I see it's in a boxing ring. Ooh.
This is our new sport. We created the rule set. Ooh.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So cool. So wait, let me see if I got this straight. 4-ounce gloves they kind of look like puffies, but the only difference is that it's 5 ounce. It's in a boxing ring as opposed to an octagon, which is cool because the ring has give from the ropes.
Yep.
Is that what it is?
Pure Strikers League, but elbows are legal. Smaller gloves. Spinning, anything with the hand goes. You can palm punch them, spinning back fist, doesn't matter. But there's no standing 8 count. So if you knock somebody down, you can ground and pound them to a finish, or they can clinch into a hold where the ref will restand them. So like you were saying earlier, the feeder leagues, the stuff, we're not trying to compete with UFC. I think it's dumb. I think PFL, all the guys that are trying to compete with UFC are toast.
Yeah.
But to come up with something that's exciting for the fan base, that's fast-paced, small ring, 18 by 18, keeps the action going.
Yeah.
I think it's fun and exciting for the casual fan for sure.
And now they can't get in their guard and like ground and pound, or there's not like any submissions like jiu-jitsu or anything like that.
Mike, explain that.
No, you cannot, but you can push kick, throw an up kick to the chest area, not to the face. Or you can grab and clinch. You can, grab the foot in an attempt to get up. At our first private show, I didn't see enough people who got knocked down work hard enough to get back to their feet. They kind of got pummeled to the finish, which is exciting for the winning and victorious fighters. But, a tougher fighter like myself, I would definitely be fighting to get back to my feet.
Now, I have a question. They can't teep to the face because they're wearing boxing shoes. I didn't look at their feet.
Yes, they do have shoes on.
Okay, so that makes sense then. And then that's awesome. Yeah, they probably just got pummeled, like you said, that they were just like had enough where they weren't able to fight back to their feet.
And the person ground and pounding cannot go down to their knees or knee on belly, or you can kind of get away with the knee on belly, more like a shin on the hip, things like that, but you need to stay on your feet to ground and pound, or the ref will separate.
How many rounds and how long are they?
3 3-minute rounds for regulation, and 5 3-minute rounds for main events.
Well, shoot. Are you looking for some fighters? I think I got some people.
We do.
All
Let's
right,
talk.
I like it. We got to get you to come out to our next event.
When is it?
In the month of
Where are you
March.
based out of?
Me? Chicago.
We're in Miami, March 22nd. You let us know. We'll we'll hook you up with flights and hotel.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. I would love to
Come
see.
out, watch the show.
Yeah. John Jones will be there. We got a bunch of fighters coming out. But yeah, we'd love to have you there. Bring the belt.
I'd love to be there. That looks awesome. I love it. I like the name too.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's got my face all over it.
Yeah, good.
I kind of got a long form question. If you guys are down, is
How long?
Is that cool?
How long for?
It's gonna be one of my longer ones, and I know Mike gets bugged. I get about 3 sentences in, and he starts. I know, but Julianna, bear with me here. And if I say anything that's incorrect or you perceive as different, just tell me I'm an idiot. But I felt for the longest time, because of your injuries, you mentioned your injuries. You fought like once a year, kind of. It seems like for the beginning of your career in the UFC, and then there was a 3-year gap or 2-year gap, and then like a 1-year gap. Anyway, I feel like you have been looked over a lot of times in your fights, because you're fighting Amanda. Your only losses are Jermaine Durand and me. If I remember, you were winning that fight, just like Valentina.
Yeah.
It was the same.
Yeah.
So, you've only lost to 3 champs ever in the UFC, and you even beat Shayna Baszler in Ultimate Fighter, right?
Yep.
And she was being pushed as one of the 4 horsewomen with Ronda. What am I trying to say? And then you do say your mind, you speak your mind, you talk a little bit of trash, you get under people's skin, and then you go in there and you're good, and you've proved it. And I feel like you get looked over and on a lot. I remember when I was there actually when you beat Amanda Nunes, and I was sitting next to a group of people that were all wearing matching t-shirts, and it ended up being your family, but they were one of the only avid, Julianna's gonna win. Most people there were like, oh man, it's gonna walk through or like anything else, just throwing it away. And I was thinking next to these people, I hope Julianna wins. That'd be awesome. That'd be hilarious. Like, let's do that. And then I'm talking to them, and then I find out that's your family. It was your family and friends sitting right there. And so then I'm like, okay, now I'm full team Julianna. I've never seen someone like people so happy when you won that. I mean, it gives me an adrenaline rush even thinking about, because I'm right next to your family. They're losing their minds, the whole crowd. The only thing louder I remember is when I was there live for Conor knocking out Aldo and Mendez, and then maybe one of the UFC London fight, but that's top 3, top 5 for sure of loudest moments I've ever been at. Why do you think people sleep on you so much, and what is it about you that you come back and you've regained the title twice, which is pretty unheard of? Like, what is it? I don't know necessarily my question, but you get my point. Like, what is it about you makes you so special?
I'm going to shorten this up really quick. Hang on one second. I'm going to shorten this up really quickly. I just pulled up the odds. Kayla Harrison is minus 700.
There you go.
7-1. So why are you an underdog, but you keep winning? And is that disrespectful?
First off, you said there was a 3-year layover, and that was when I was pregnant and I had my baby. And I remember giving birth to her, and it was an emergency C-section where I had this natural birth plan all planned out, and I was going to give birth naturally. And then I was 41 and a half, almost 42 weeks pregnant, where the doctors was like, we got to get this baby out now. Like, there's like now, right now. And so I had an emergency C-section, and recovering from that was a big deal. And, because C-section is not like an average natural birth. It's a lot. And recovering from that was one thing, but then there was another thing of like not needing a rush to get back to fighting, because I just have always wanted to be a mom, and I wanted to enjoy that time with my baby and not feel, there's some people that might be in a financial position where they were needing to get back to fighting right away 6 months later after they had their baby. I wasn't in that position where I had to do or die fight. So I really took the time to enjoy being a mother and enjoying, that time with her, where I didn't want to have to sacrifice that time where she's so little, only one time in her life that I was going to miss out on. So I really took my time getting back into fighting. And then with that being said, I would say that, yes, I have the most incredible family, and they have always believed in me. And that was probably one of the fights that I can remember, maybe I'm biased, where I just blew the roof off the lid. And it was just insanity. And I think that one of the reasons why I'm a 7-1 underdog, or why I always get overlooked, or why people are always counting me out, is because maybe I'm not the most technically sound. Maybe I don't throw the rock'em sock'em punches perfectly and make everything perfect, where I'm just so technical. Maybe I didn't train martial arts or throw my very first punch until I was 19 years old, and never was in any wrestling as a young kid, or judo as a young kid, or, never was in any martial arts until that time of throwing a punch for the first time at 19 years old, and maybe don't have the experience that these other girls have. But I've always had this one thing that has set me apart from everybody else, and that is my mindset and the mental toughness, the grit, and the belief in myself that I can do anything. And I've never put a ceiling on myself as far as what I'm capable of doing. I have always believed that I can. And when you have that mental toughness of, I don't care what you do, I'm still gonna get up and I'm still gonna keep coming at you a million miles an hour, it's really hard to defeat someone like that. When you throw the kitchen sink at someone and they get up and they say, is that all you got? It's mentally defeating for them. And it's like, what do I gotta do to kill this person? And I'm just on the other side like Terminator, like you're gonna have to literally like cut my head off in order to get me to stop, because I will not stop. And I think that attitude of never giving up or never stopping and always being relentless no matter what is kind of why I've had any amount of success that I've had, because I might get thrown on my head, but then you're going to have to be careful about what I do after I get thrown on my head. I may get taken down, but then you're going to have to be worrying about you getting elbowed in the face or punched, because I'm not going to lay down, and I will not lay down. Like I said, the only one that I'm laying down for is my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and she ain't him. So I'm just
and
stop.
it shows, because you'll take Amanda Nunes, you'll get dropped, get up. You'll take a 6'3" line cook. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. And I swear to God, I remember popping right back up. I swear to God, I remember being like,
I believe it. We've seen it.
No, I popped right back up with that guy. I'm like, oh, I'm not going away.
Did you at least get any good shots in?
Not one.
Not well, you still, dude. If
I
I,
would
was
have
a dude,
fired
like
you
you said,
too if you got beat up by the line cook that bad.
Not one. He was too long. I didn't get one. You know, one thing that Dana told me when I was on The Ultimate Fighter that I'll never forget is the guys on the show they were horrible to me, and they lied about me. And if you watch the show, you'll see the kid admitting, yeah, I lied about her and I made that up. And I just wanted to, lie and see her get riled up and lose her mind, and I did. I came after all of them because I was like, you're lying. I never did that. And I got so upset, but like everyone on my team thought that I gave the matchups away to the other team. So I'm looking like this big snitch liar. And I'm like, I swear to God, I have integrity. I didn't do it. And they were all trying to pigeonhole me. And so these kids, they tortured me on this show as far as just lying about me or being rude to me or just making my life a living hell. And I remember that kid was eating ice cream. He didn't make weight. And he got kicked off the show first. And I'm like, wow, Dana, this is crazy. The kid that's been the biggest bully to me the entire time got kicked off. It's like you heard my prayers or something. And he was like, it doesn't pay to be mean to you, babe, does it? And I'm like, no. And so then the other kid that was his best friend and also bully, he ends up not making weight either, like 4 weeks later or something. And he gets kicked off the show. And it was the first time in Ultimate Fighter history where 2 fighters got kicked off the show for not making weight. And I'm like, Dana, you're blowing my mind right now. How is it that the 2 guys that were the most horrible to me are the ones getting kicked off the show? And he was like, looks like they got the Vixen curse, babe. And I'm like, yeah, the Vixen curse.
It should have been the Vixen Vex, but
Yeah,
anyway.
I got God's favor. He likes
I'm never going to be mean to you ever.
Yeah.
You
ever.
better not. No, you better not.
I got one more to throw in here. I don't want to take up too much of your time or anything. I want to throw this one in there, though. So, like I said, you've only lost to like elites. Jermaine, GDR, Valentina, and Nunes, and you beat Nunes. So technically, you're 1-1 with Nunes. GDR, I think she had a kid.
I am.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yes. 100% 1-1. We need the trilogy. I don't think she's coming back. But GDR, it looks like she had a kid, and she's moving on with her life, it looks like. But that leaves Valentina Shevchenko. So now you're going to fight everyone besides pretty much Ronda Rousey that's considered like a GOAT, besides Weili Zhang, which is too far of a weight class. Who would mean the most to you? Beating Amanda Nunes at one time, forget the second fight, beating Kayla Harrison as a 7-1 underdog, or getting that win back against Valentina. Which one would mean the most to you?
You're saying like if I could do a trilogy with Amanda?
Sure, throw that in there too.
Well, I didn't understand. You're saying so.
That's
first
really
time-
hard.
We never do. We never do, Juliana. We never do.
No, she gets the point. Okay, let's say this. Okay, no, Amanda is done. We're just calling that scratch. You guys are 1-1. You beat her, and that's a huge accomplishment. So, who means the most to you to have a victory over?
Kayla Harrison, absolutely.
The next one.
Out of everybody? Nice.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's fresh. That's current. I don't want to be living in the past. I don't want to be like stuck in the past. I want to be moving forward and keep things pushing over here. And that's Kayla Harrison. That's the one that I have my eyes on. That's my target. That's my goal. And it would mean the most to me. And I'm not unfamiliar to this territory. I was an 11-1 underdog with Amanda Nunes. So 7-1, that's pretty good.
Wow.
Based on her last performance, which was a slow 3-round decision, they ended up on the fence a lot. I'm really surprised by that -700 favorite against you, who is an aggressive style fighter, and you're pretty sharp for a woman, in my opinion. I'm just saying, in your fighting style, and you could end up, on your back. But I just want to say, work on that uppercut when she comes in for the clinch, and work on kneeing her in the face. Something like that might really do some damage. We talked with Kayla on here, and I look forward to seeing y'all's matchup.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll take that into consideration. And there's your game plan, Bagz. Uppercut for the clinch, kneeing her in the face. There you go.
There you go. Simple.
Why back? Am I beating up somebody? I actually, my go-to move, what? My go-to move is kicking him in the like you were saying you should have. I just kick him right in the and so.
Right? Give him the old 1-2. I hit one and I run two.
That's right.
That was corny.
No, that was good. That was some mom. That was some.
I'm the first ever mom to give birth and win a championship twice. So
that reminds me. Michelle Watterson, if I remember correctly, and shout out, I'm from Albuquerque. I love Michelle Watterson, but didn't she always talk about being like the first mom champ? And it's like, dude, Julianna Peña exists. Did you ever see this?
I knew that she wanted to be the first mom champ. Love Michelle Watterson, got nothing but love for
100%.
her. But I am the only woman to give birth and win a championship world title twice. One time, still only the one time, and then twice the second time. So the only woman who's been able to give birth and win a title twice.
Well, see, you see people argue about this on the internet. Like, Amanda Nunes is a mom. Okay, but I'm not getting into all that stuff, but Amanda Nunes did not birth the baby.
Of course. Big difference.
Yeah. And so it's just funny. People fight about it. It's like, dude, someone already did this. Like, Julianna already accomplished it.
I'm not trying to take away from anyone. Yes,
100%.
You're a mother. Yes, you're a mom champ. Yes. But I am the only woman who has given birth and won a world title, and nobody else has been able to do that. So,
Amen.
Julianna, thank you so much for coming on. Amazing personality, the champ, beautiful. I could keep going. You listen to Mac's questions, which
I
is
appreciate
very
it
hard
so much.
to do sometimes. So thank you so much for everything. Look forward to seeing you against Kayla, and I'm taking that plus 500 or whatever it is.
Thank you. I appreciate the time, you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, champ.
Bye, guys.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for signing in to another OVERDOGS podcast with our great guest today. World champion type stuff. That's what we're doing over here. Growing and going to the top, baby. Let's go.
Appreciate you.
Peace.